George R.R. Martin defends the Game of Thrones finale. Game of Thrones aired their final episode this Sunday, and a record number of fans tuned in to watch the end of the fantasy series that changed how we looked at fantasy series. As expected, the water cooler show gave viewers a lot to argue about with its big moments and character send-offs, sparking controversies online with fans, while critics debated whether it did or did not subvert expectations enough.
No one is very happy, which means it's a good compromise, I suppose.
It even left many asking if this was the worst finale of all time, to which the answer is no. Of course not, because that dubious distinction is a tie between Dexter and How I Met Your Mother.
That's it.
Of course, it wasn't just fans and critics weighing in on the finale. The book's author, George R.R. Martin, also had his take on the whole affair. Now, if you haven't seen the Game of Thrones final episode, The Iron Throne, or if you think that George R.R. Martin's blog posts constitute as spoilers, we recommend you step off because we are spoiling from here on out.
I don't understand.
Please sit.
On Monday, Martin took to his not a blog to blog about his thoughts on the 8-season journey that Game of Thrones took through Westeros. He started off explaining how the show came to be through a meeting with series showrunners David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, and from that meeting was born the most successful and most award-winning show in HBO history. Martin then went on to thank the writers, the cast, and the crew, whose hard work was evident on screen from season 1 onwards, and he also gave us some hints at some projects he's got upcoming, 5 series he's developing for HBO, not all taking place in Westeros, 2 series that he's working on for Hulu, and 1 series for the History Channel. He's even consulted on a video game, which fans are suspecting will be developed by the makers of Dark Souls, which will be awesome! Oh my god, but so hard. So difficult. However, the main project many are most concerned about are the final books that will close out A Song of Ice and Fire, and when the hell they will be released. Ever since the show outpaced the books, fans have wondered how the end of the book series will match up to the end of the show, and Martin addresses this by saying, how will it all end? I hear people asking, the same ending as the show? Different? Well, yes and no, and yes and no, and yes and no, and yes. Very cryptic, and yet very expected. We've known that the Game of Thrones showrunners knew the broad strokes of how Martin wants to end the book series, and we can expect that they followed parts of the plan, but writing a book and a show are 2 very different ways of telling a story. In fact, Martin explains this further by defending the showrunners. I am working in a very different medium than David and Dan. Never forget. They had 6 hours for this final season. I expect these last 2 books of mine will fill 3,000 manuscript pages between them before I'm done, and if more pages and chapters and scenes are needed, I'll add them. He continues, there are characters who never made it onto the screen at all, and others who died in the show but still live on in the books, so if nothing else, the readers will learn what happened to a myriad of other characters, both great and small, that viewers of the show never had the chance to meet. So what he's saying is that even if the endings are very similar, there will still be enough differences and variety to keep fans interested in seeing how the story wraps up.
What does he say about me?
I don't believe you're mentioned.
Unfortunately, Martin gives no update on the release of the final 2 books, The Winds of Winter and A Dream of Spring. Martin admits that Winds of Winter is very late, duh, but saying a firm date for its release would only serve to make everyone unhappy when the date passes with no book. And while there have been plenty of discussions online as to whether the show or the books should be considered the true ending to the saga, Martin's take on it is, book or show, which will be the real ending? It's a silly question. How about this? I'll write it, you read it, then everyone can make up their own mind and argue about it on the internet. And George, you're definitely right about that. There will be plenty of arguments on the internet about it. But what do you folks think? Did you like the finale to Game of Thrones? Which character got the best send-off and which character was done dirty? And when do you think The Winds of Winter will be released?
I helped him with the title.
Let's discuss. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and mash that little bell to get notified every time we drop a new show or video. And speaking of new shows, look who's here with her own new show, Because Space. Why, it is Dr. Moo. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. So you've actually got a brand new show on the Because Science channel on YouTube. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yes, it's called Because Space. It's the companion show to Because Science, and it's about really cool topics like multiverses, cosmic scales, and can you get drunk in space?
That's awesome.
It airs every Monday on the Because Science YouTube channel.
Can you get drunk in space?
You gotta tune in to find out.
I don't see why. Anyway, thank you so much. You can catch the first episode of Because Space over on the Because Science channel on YouTube right now.